love best about being an entrepreneur?
Being able to pick up my kids from school. That's the biggest thing. Just being there when they're home. How can I do that if I had a job, And I think that's the greatest gift that you can give yourself. You can always make more money. You can always buy more stuff. But time it's a resource that is not available forever. It's limited. Look, it's not easy. The first year is probably going to be the hardest year of your life. I'm not going to lie. But it's so much more rewarding than anything that you'll ever do. I would start just finding what you're passionate about. Find the one thing that you absolutely love and do it for yourself. Living the life you want to live and stopping the life that you really don't want, because that's really what's gonna get you there.
Welcome to Beyond the Business Plan. I'm Leanne Lyon, your guide on this journey to success. We will explore the inspiring stories of visionary leaders and groundbreaking entrepreneurs and unveil the tools and strategies that can empower you to manage your business from anywhere in the world. Join me, Leanne, as we learn, laugh, and take the leap towards unleashing your joyful business journey. And let's make it happen now. My guest today is a marketing strategist who specializes in done-for-you services. She got her start in web design about 10 years ago while working at an educational company, but she was frustrated that the websites being delivered didn't reflect the quality of the work. And around the same time, a friend needed help updating her phone number on a website, and no one on her team even knew how. That small moment sparked a big passion for helping businesses to show up online, and she transitioned from designing websites to writing copy, one of the most essential skills in all of marketing, and eventually into building strategies that drives real leads, real sales, and real growth. Today, she helps service-based businesses turn ideas into clear, consistent content that actually works, and best of all, without the overwhelm. She's worked with lawyers, consultants, authors, SaaS companies, and other industries, bringing clarity and direction to businesses ready to grow. Miri, are you there?
Hi, how are you?
Hey, it's good to see you again. Hello.
Good
What's
to see
a
you.
SaaS company? That sounds sassy.
Yeah, so a SaaS company is a software as a service company. These are companies that provide the service, which is not necessarily a done for you. It's more like you log into the software or or you join in or they help you out with something specifically on a software basis. So it's just short for software as a service.
And I'm kind of just joking because I actually know that.
I'm sure you do. I'm not sure that sometimes people think it has to do with coding.
Yeah,
So I
right.
don't know why. Maybe it has that ring to it.
Yeah. Well, with my company, we do,
Of course, he
primarily
does.
we're recommending tools and software as a service companies to our
Yeah.
clients as well. So it's a very much a big tie. And I love your little story about how that you shared that I got to share, but how you really got started. And you said it was about 10 years ago that you did that. So what was your next step? When you said that the fire kind of got lit inside you to do something. So what did you do next?
Yeah, so I always wanted to do everything. But when I was growing up, I just didn't know. Like people would ask me, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And that would scare me so much because I had no idea. So
Ah.
I used to play soccer. I played soccer in college and professionally and stuff. And that was kind of like my out. I'm just gonna be a soccer player. And like I just said it not because I believed it, but because it was a way for people just to go away, not to ask me that question. Um, so this was my way of being part of different businesses, not necessarily have to have a label of like a manager at a specific company doing X, Y, or Z. And I don't know, sometimes life kind of tells you what to do, and you just have to listen to kind of like the signs that are put in front of you.
Mm.
And because I was building, have had this job with websites, and then I had somebody ask me because they knew that I was techie, but I didn't even tell them that I did websites. It was just somebody who I knew. And I said, yeah, I can help you with that. And then from then on, other people started asking me, I have an event coming up. Can you help me create a website? And this was a softball company that my husband and the coach are actually friends. They're still friends today. And I said, yeah, let's do it. So, I think one thing led to another. So from the website design, I love creating websites, but it's like a one and done deal. So I needed something that was going to be more recurring. So that's why I went into copywriting, which is more specifically emails, because it's something that people always need. And that was my next step. But in between, I did quiz funnels, landing pages.
Mhm.
I did SMS marketing as well. But email marketing, I think, is the one thing that I did consistently with other projects, kind of like, you know, in the back end as well. Because people are always asking, and I need help with emails, but do you have a way that maybe you can help me with my social media? So like, one thing kind of led to the next in a way.
So many questions. So I actually designed websites as well in 1999 with a baby in my arms. I flew out to California to learn HTML, and
Wow.
specifically, they helped us learn to write code for Dreamweaver. Now, Dreamweaver already you didn't really have to write code, but you'd had to have a basic understanding of what HTML was. Fortunately for me, I had been a computer science minor, so I
Hmm.
was really familiar with code and it was not hard for me at
Yeah.
all. Now, you said wow, because that predated you doing this by about 15 years, if I do my calculations right. Did you
Yeah.
ever use anything like Dreamweaver, or what was your first software that you were using to build websites?
So I used Wix because that's
Okay,
what they used.
sure.
And then I loved WordPress and I just stuck with it because it was just easy to use. And I mean easy because I've been doing it for like so long, and I think with anything there's always going to be a learning curve.
Sure.
But I needed to use something that was easy and that they already had in place. And, from then on, I said, okay, I don't like Wix because of the formatting's not always working correctly. And this was obviously when Wix wasn't what it is now. Now I think it's obviously a lot better.
Yeah,
Um, but if you wanted to format something on one page, it didn't translate to the template on all the other pages.
sure.
So WordPress was already ahead of that. And that's why I said, okay, you know what? Let's just stick with WordPress. Forget about Wix. But look, Squarespace I've done as well. Like I think every single website out design tool out there, even now with AI, it's perfect for the person who needs it. Like when somebody asks me, should I use this? Should I use that? It just depends. Like, what do you feel comfortable using? And it's not a big learning curve. And, like that's the biggest thing. What can you use right now
Yeah.
that doesn't involve, learning, or like, for example, your software is so easy to use, right?
Mhm.
And so friendly. So it makes sense for a lot of people that don't have any idea. Like if you know how to use PowerPoint, if you know how to use Word, like going back to like the pre-Google Workspace days. If you know how to use those, then you can use your software. Like, you know what I mean? It
Right.
just breaks it down into what can people do. And I think a lot of it is there's no best software for anyone as long as it's something that you need, something that is going to be easy for you to use. There's not a huge learning curve. That's going to be your best software. Like in my opinion, like there's so many options out there. Use what is going to make the most sense for you, not because it has all the bells and whistles, but because it checks off the box that you need it. You know what I mean? I think that's where a lot of people get stuck, and you don't have to. Just do the easy thing. Trust me, there's a lot of other complicated things that you would probably need to do in your job. Like, don't make this one of them.
Right, for sure. And that's honestly one reason why I never got into doing Word even. Although I could create websites from HTML,
Mhm.
when I started looking at Word, and I just thought, I don't want to do anything that complicated.
Yeah.
Now, when I had a brick and mortar business, I did hire a company to create a website, and because of my background, I was able to be very specific, but then they did all the coding, they did all the creating. When that company went away,
Yeah.
And I started this one. I wanted a software that was just easy. I didn't want to deal with, and quite frankly, any of the security issues of
Mm.
some WordPress websites. I also just didn't want to try to catch up on 20 years of WordPress and to be
Yeah.
that good at it. Plus,
Yeah.
sorry, but I didn't want to pay anybody $150, $200 per hour and
Yeah.
wait for 3 weeks to get changes made.
I think that's another thing, the
It's another
cost
thing.
that comes along with it,
Right.
So finding something that obviously it's easy, all this that we talked about, but the cost as well. Like the story about the phone number on the website,
Hmm.
that triggered me to like, here's a business owner. She's amazing at what she does. Why does she have to deal with this phone number on the website that somebody built for her 5 years ago that
Right?
is hurting her? Like
Yeah.
it just pained me it was painful because I mean, she's a good friend of mine. And I mean, she doesn't even know like how much it triggered me to say, okay, there's a lot of people who need help with this.
Right.
You know, and it
Yep.
doesn't have to be expensive.
No.
So do something that, yeah, it's great to hire somebody who's going to build you a website, but also that is going to educate you on how to fix these little things. Like you don't have to design, you don't need to be a designer, but if for some reason, let's say I'm gonna take something that, that I went yesterday with my daughter, right, to a thing, like a speech therapist, let's say, right? And all of a sudden you want to do occupational therapy.
Right.
There's got to be a way that you can just go in there and fill in a little bit about occupational therapy, whereas it's close enough, and most centers probably do both, that you don't have to hire someone to add all this stuff for you. Like,
Right.
so I think a lot of it is obviously, yeah, how easy it is to use. We talked about that. But and what makes sense for you for what you need. You don't need like Salesforce, you don't need like go high level, you don't need all these crazy things that are gonna cost you at least $47 a month, at least. And it's not about the cost, it's about like why would you spend on that if you're not even gonna use it? And also being able to use something that you're going to be able to fix, or if you wake up at midnight and you want to be another type of therapist and you want to just add it to your website so it's there, that you can do that. So I don't know, I just get so passionate about this because
Yes, you do. I see that.
um it just hurts me that people spend so much money on developers,
Right.
um and it's not the right thing to do.
Yeah, and I want to break in there because that's really my passion as well. And when business owners come to me and they're like, "Okay, great. I love your software. I see it's easy and I just want my assistant to do it." And I'll say, "That's fine, and we're going to take just a week or two, just a couple hours in the next week or two. So you get a basic understanding of it before. Yes, I will train your person. I've got YouTube videos showing how to do all this stuff. You can access it for free. I'm actually putting together that whole course on it right now. And
Mm.
so that business owners are creative.
Yeah.
We wake up in the middle of the night and it's not just that we want to change our entire business, but we want to change one small thing, or we want to add a promotion, or we want to add a service, or we want to add an opportunity or a new landing page for a new idea that we want to run through. And you don't want
Yeah.
to wait 3 months to get somebody else to understand it and do it. There's stuff right now where I do have somebody that makes changes to my websites and does a lot of my social media, but when I'm starting something new, I still do it all myself just to make sure that it's the base is exactly what I want it to be. And then I let her do the tweaking. Now, sometimes she'll take something I've done and replicate it, make
Mhm.
it into a new one, and that's fine as well. But yes, I agree. Business owners, we need to own our businesses. And if you delegate too much too soon, I think that can be a big problem.
Yeah.
But you didn't immediately. I mean, you were working for somebody at the time
Yeah.
who decided to do this. So where did you make the jump to, I'm going to do this for somebody else, to I'm going to do this as my own business? And what
I
made
was
you kind of
pregnant.
decide you were really going to do it that way?
So I was pregnant with my first child
Ah,
when I said, you know what? I need to do this for myself. And the company that I was working with, I still keep in touch with them and I do part-time work with them sometimes, on like a month-to-month kind of basis. But I decided that, all of these things, like I said at the beginning, life gives you signs in a way that you just have to open up your eyes and see the opportunities. So when these things were happening, I was pregnant with my first child and I had him. I spent time with him, trying to be a good mom. And then when he went to daycare, I was pregnant with my second one. So there's been a few transitions like that, that those are the times where there's the most growth, I think, at least for me, when you're not on the day to day, prospecting for clients and fulfilling client orders and stuff like that. It's a time where you're spending, thinking, doing things for yourself or for your family, and you just don't know what your next step is going to be. And I think I'm kind of like there now too. We'll get there. But I think, oh, so sorry. I think a lot of it has to do with how you come across and the types of things that you think about when it comes to what am I going to do next?
Yeah.
So that's where I was. I was thinking so much about what am I going to do? What are some of those things that I'm already doing that I can continue to do and make it my own? And again, it just kind of life takes me, and I'm very cognizant about what it is that I'm doing, for myself, but what it is that I'm not like expected, but that this could be an opportunity to do. Like I feel like there's been times in my life where it's been like, okay, am I gonna get like one day I got a job where I used to work at the JCC, and I was traveling. Like a lot of things happen in one day, and there's like sometimes those days that you're like, okay, this is a defining moment for me. What's my next step? And opening up your eyes to see kind of like, where are you? What are some of those things that life is telling you? And I think we just have to open our eyes and see, and I think just listen.
So when you started, when you made that jump, when you had that like moment and you realized this is what you wanted to do, did you foresee that it would continue to evolve and continue to change? Or did you kind of think, oh no, I'm here. This is what I'm going to do for 20 years?
No, I knew it was going to change. I think that's the one constant in my life. There's always change.
Okay, well, that's great.
Yeah. I think that's something that I don't know. I feel like there's everywhere, and like every time I do something, I know that this is not forever. There's always seasons, and I think maybe I think you have something similar as well, where
Mhm.
there's always seasons in what you're doing, and this season right now is what I'm doing, and the next season is gonna come, and I'm gonna find my way.
Excellent.
Um, yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's kind of
What do you love best about being an entrepreneur? What's your like be all end all favorite thing about it?
being able to pick up my kids from school. That's the biggest thing. I mean, my husband brings the kids because, he works at the school where they go, but the youngest one, I go get her, but just being there when they're home.
Hmm.
And how was your day? Like sometimes we have days that, when kids get home, that it's like something happened in the playground or, somebody got mad with whatever, things that happen with kids, but I want to be there for that. Like I think it's not all like beautiful and like, unicorns and rainbows and stuff. It's also just being there for your kids and seeing them grow up. And, sometimes they come home really happy, and sometimes there's things that are like, let's go, we got a soccer practice. Like there's no time to talk. But just having that, you being able to know that at any time I can go to lunch, not have to clock in and clock out. I mean, everybody talks about the freedom, but I love exercising. And like tomorrow I'm going to run with a friend of mine at 9 a.m. at a park that I love. How can I do that if I had a job, And I
Yeah.
don't think that, that's the biggest thing. I think also um being able to have the potential to make as much money as I want. There's no cap, There's no you're gonna make $5,000, a week, and that's it. There's no more. You have to ask for a raise, or you have to do something else and get part-time jobs to be able to make more. All of that goes into playing, and yeah, the money situation goes up and down. No 2 months are ever gonna be the same for me, but I don't have nannies for my kids. And
I'll
I
share. I had you mentioned, checking in and out for lunch. That was actually a defining moment for me as well.
uh,
My last job where I had to punch a clock, I was in my 30s and I
uh,
was the oldest person in the department, and everybody else was in their 20s, including the manager, and I was married with two children.
yeah.
And everybody else was going out and partying every night, and they would play pranks. They'd come in drunk. They'd talk about how not they wouldn't come in drunk. They would come in hungover, talking about how drunk they'd been the night before, sometimes showing up late. One time the manager and one of the employees showed up so late that the owner of the entire, or the person in charge of the entire business, had the rest of us hide. This is a real story.
Oh my
Hide
God.
in the
What?
attic of this building where it was about 98 degrees. It was so hot. It was 120 degrees up there, easy, because it was summertime. We're all just sweating, and then they didn't show up, and they didn't show up, and we're sitting up there. Meanwhile, we had clients showing up downstairs that we were not meeting. And those two people had had clients coming in all day that we were trying to hustle. And I'm like, what is going on here?
That's crazy.
It was nuts. And then, like a week later, I was on my way. I was out walking because I'm trying to walk off the baby fat. And I got held up returning because there was an ambulance or somebody going through the red light, and that changes the light and you have to wait a little longer. So I was 2 or 3 minutes late.
Yeah.
Now, keep in mind, everybody else I worked with also was a smoker. Okay, that's everybody's choice, whatever. But every
Yeah.
hour they were outside smoking for 10 minutes.
Mm.
Again, that was allowed, whatever. I wasn't a smoker. I didn't take 10-minute breaks every hour, but whatever. Do you think I got written up for being 3 minutes late from lunch?
I believe you did. Yeah.
I did, or I
No.
wouldn't be telling the story. And yeah, so craziness, but that was the day that I went and looked for another job. I ended up getting into sales, outside sales, discovering the freedom, eventually becoming a business owner of my own. And then, yeah, when my kids became teenagers, I actually quit that business because it was causing me to travel so much. And I just knew I needed to be home for those days that my daughters came home with a mean girl story,
Exactly. Right.
and home
Yeah.
for the days that I could say, well, let's go for a drive, and, teaching them how to drive. I was the one who was behind the wheel with them, you
Yeah.
know, and driving to get ice cream because it was easier to talk to your teenager side by side than face to face.
Yeah.
And yeah, all the things. It's maybe not everybody's why, but it was one reason why we bought the brick and mortar business, because we had to be more in person and local, not
Yeah.
travel.
I believe that. Like there was a time where I had a nanny for 4 hours when the baby was born, my last one. And I was like, I'm gonna continue working, no problem. I have the baby, but somebody's always gonna be there. And it was a good plan until it actually happened. I was making myself lunch.
Yeah,
Nanny was playing with the baby.
yeah,
And I looked at myself like, is this what you want? Like, is this really what you want? You want to have the time to make yourself lunch, go to work, do whatever you want throughout the day and continue to live like that and have a nanny that comes in 6 hours a day to be with the baby? I looked at myself in that moment and I was like, you know what? This is not going to work out. I am so sorry to the nanny. Um, I'm gonna try to find her another job that's gonna be a better fit. But this is my last baby and I'm going to enjoy it as much as I can. And I wasn't looking to get new clients after she was born. I was just fulfilling client orders kind of thing, going on walks and being on Zoom
yeah,
and nursing her and typing emails and
yeah,
you know, you just as moms, you just make it work. And I was still making the same amount as I was before. And I had her at 5 a.m. and I finished the website at midnight that day. Well, the day prior. Like you just don't stop. But it's because I can. It's because we have that flexibility that you don't have to go and drive, or take public transportation to get to your job. So I think all of that plays a really big role
mm,
in how you want to live your life. Like I can go tomorrow on vacation, and as long as I'm still fulfilling client orders, I'm fine,
yep,
you know? And I think that's the greatest gift that you can give yourself. There's nothing greater than being able to take the time. You can always make more money, you can
Yeah.
always buy more stuff, but time is it's a resource that is not available forever.
Yep.
It's limited. Everybody gets the same amount, but it's limited. So value that. And
Yeah.
that's really the biggest thing to me.
And I'll contrast your story a little bit because we didn't have a nanny, but we did have an au pair, which is not everybody's in America is familiar with au pairs, but AUPAIR is how it's spelled. If you're not, you can ask AI these days.
Yeah.
And there's only 6 agencies that will bring au pairs into the United States. They
Mhm.
actually have to live with you and but they can do up to 45 hours of childcare. So we would schedule her
Yeah.
Friday night, so we had a date night,
Beautiful.
and bright and early Saturday morning. So once a week, we got to sleep in.
That's awesome. I'm all for helping. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong.
No, no, no.
Think outsourcing whatever, if you have a virtual assistant, that's great. If you
Yeah.
have what, like, I think that's important. I also have somebody who comes in and helps me to clean the house because I'm
Yeah.
terrible at that. Um, or sometimes somebody comes and cooks. Or sometimes, like, if my husband and I want to go out, like, I have my parents, thankfully, that,
Yeah.
our parents that can come and help us out. So I'm not against outsourcing stuff, but it's about you making the choice and being there for you.
Yep.
Like, it sounds great to be able to sleep in one day a week. Like, honestly, that sounds awesome. But, and right now, my older one can take care of the baby for an hour so I can sleep a little bit. So I'm almost there.
Yep.
But I think it's more about having the option to do that,
Yeah. 100%.
having the choice so that it's not something that you have to do. You don't have to go to work and start at 8 o'clock in the morning every single day.
Right.
If you want to go, to Starbucks, like yesterday, I went to a coffee place really close to my house. Um, and it was a great change of scenery
Yep.
and it was beautiful, meeting people and and seeing other people around me. So I'm not always gonna have to be at my house, working from an office space. So
Yep.
but it's just giving yourself the permission to choose that lifestyle, and I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. For sure. Like you've said, and I agree, you just have to figure it out for your life. Like, yeah, she worked 45 hours a week. And
Yeah.
yeah, she was. But, in the early months, it was all about me having the baby and her having the toddler. That toddler was everywhere
Right.
and wanted to go to the zoo and go to the park and do the things. And I got that precious baby time as long as I wanted it. And when she was sleeping, I could work but the toddler was taken care of and having a great life.
Yeah.
And then au pairs can do other certain things, like they can go grocery shopping, they can do some laundry, they can do some cooking for the kids. But of
Right.
course, if there's
For the
leftovers,
kids.
so it's all good. And it's just another option. It's another way of doing it. But like you, I just couldn't conceive of getting, I mean, I was a teacher before that. I could not conceive of, well, this is before I became a parent. And I didn't realize children naturally wake up at 5 a.m. But I couldn't conceive waking my children up at 5 a.m. to drop them off at the same four square walls every single day for 10 to 12 hours
Mhm.
and having no interaction with them. That's what I couldn't do, and I never did. I mean,
Yeah.
eventually when they got older, yes, I actually did send them to some daycare just for socialization, the
Yeah.
opportunity to play with other kids. And
Right.
I think that's important too. But the au pairs would find other au pairs with kids and they would get together and they would do things. Oh, and oh, by the way, we always got au pairs from Sweden. My kids are fluent in Swedish.
That's awesome. I think that's something that a big benefit that people don't even think about
It's a huge
when it comes
benefit.
to that. So look,
Yeah.
I think everybody wants to live their life in a certain way.
Yep.
I'm not saying that nannies are bad, like au pairs. I think they're amazing.
Yeah.
But where I was with my third child, I was like, why am I doing this? Like, this is my last one, and I'm missing out on a hug from them and a smile and all these things that it lasts so little. Like, there's so little time that you get to be with your kids.
Yeah.
Um, and that was the big, big defining factor for
So,
me.
So people looking at becoming an entrepreneur, thinking about it, moving forward, what would you tell them? And we're wrapping up our time here. It's been so much
Yeah,
fun. I'm surprised we dwelt so much time on that, but that's
I know,
cool.
me too.
It's all good. But what advice would you get to somebody who has, because we say 41% of Americans have the dream of owning a business, and yet a very small percentage, I've heard anywhere from 7 to 9% are actually self-employed. So what advice would you give to somebody thinking about starting a business, kind of wanting the freedoms that you and I have talked about today?
Look, it's not easy. The first year is probably going to be the hardest year of your life. I'm not going to lie. But it's so much more rewarding than anything that you'll ever do. I would start just finding what you're passionate about because there's so many businesses out there that already exist that you can model after, not necessarily copy everything they do, but get inspired by them. And see what are they doing and how are they making it work. Like if I mentioned running, for example. There's so many businesses out there that like maybe running coaches or um, people who review running products. There's so much of that as well. AI for running, applications like apps that are for running. All of these things, they're about a passion that a lot of people have, which is running. So find the one thing that you absolutely love and just find and do the research to see what are some of the things that you're already using that
Yeah.
are services and do it for yourself. I'm sure that if you have a passion, you've more than once have said, "Oh, I wish something like this it could exist or existed." And chances are it exists, but you might not know it yet. And maybe
Yeah.
that's the thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
Um, so I would start there. Just what are you passionate about, and how do you see yourself stopping the living the life you want to live and stopping the life that you really don't want. Because that's really what's gonna get you there. If you don't have a big enough why, and I think you have a really big why to Leanne, um, then it's not you have to be motivated all the time. So motivation is not something that it's gonna come to you once. It has to be a consistent everyday grind. I mean, yeah, having the freedom to do whatever I mentioned is great, but you don't know how many times I've woken up at 4 a.m. because I have to get stuff done,
Yep.
or I have to
Oh,
go for my
yep.
run because I have to go to work at 9, or I have to work on the weekends, or
Yeah.
when we're on vacation, I still have to check in with my VA. So it's awesome because I get to do all that. But it's not something that, you can turn on and off. It has to be something that you're passionate about because even if you're on vacation, you can have 5 minutes to maybe touch base with your VA while you're on vacation for 2 weeks or with your team or whatever.
And you
So
have to, more or less, most of the time, although it is possible. It is
it is
possible
possible.
to
Yeah,
take the
it's
break.
possible.
And I have done it when you have trusted people that can step in the right way. Likewise, you also mentioned earlier, it's nice to have the unlimited cap. On the flip side, there's always the, oh my goodness, what if I lose my number one client? I mean, there's so much we could dig into, but you know what? Our time today is already about done. So
That went by so fast.
I know, right? So Miri Lenoff, Lenoff,
Yeah.
Miri is how you spell your first name. Miri, and then Lenoff, Lenoff. What
Yeah.
is the best way for people to reach you if they want to find out? Like, I didn't even ask you about your history as a professional soccer player, or maybe about your business. What's the
Yeah.
best way to find that? What's your favorite social media, first of all? And what's the best way for people to find you?
Yeah, so right now Instagram is one of my favorite ones. I don't know why LinkedIn, I'm having some issues with LinkedIn recently. They booted me out, so I'm trying to get back into the platform. Happens all the time. It's okay. It's one of those things. But yeah, Instagram right now, I see so much opportunity for growth, so that's where I'm at most of the time. It's just my name, Miri Lenoff. So Mirilenoff as in Frank. You can find me there and, I love meeting people and be able to, talk about what we've talked about. And if you ever need anything, I'm always here for you, Leanne.
Oh, thank you, Mary. And it's been such a pleasure. We just met recently through
Yeah.
an online group. I'm not going to name, but um, of professionals who've been in business, been doing that. We're in the 9%. or so of self-employed, more or less. Not all of us are self-employed, but many of us. And finding that connection, having that way to connect with other people is also so important as a business owner. So I want to say thank you, Miri. Thank you for being here. And to our guests, I want to thank you as well for joining us on this show, Beyond the Business Plan, including motherhood sometimes, to unleash your joyful business potential. And remember, entrepreneurship is a voyage you can take with others. So find your tribe for the journey and give us a like or subscribe or whatever you do on your favorite podcast or video platform to keep shining and aligning with your purpose and Joyminder Solutions. And by the way, if you have that, like, oh, I really want to do something, but I don't know what to do. We've got a whole bunch of great business ideas that can help you live your best life. And then come on back here next week, every week, twice a week for new inspiring episodes. And until that time, I'm Leanne Lyon, your Chief Joy Officer, signing off. Keep spreading the joy, keep leading with heart, and I'll catch you on the next wave of success. Hey, coffee aficionados and entrepreneurs, Leanne Lyon here. Are you craving that caffeine kick, but looking for a healthier alternative? Well, 9 years ago, I discovered the ultimate collection of energizing options to fuel your entrepreneurial spirit without the jitters. Discover your next favorite pick-me-up today and keep your business dreams brewing strong. Hear what it did for me by visiting this website, whyIlovemycoffee.com. Yes, that's the URL, whyIlovemycoffee.com, because your peak performance deserves more than just another cup of joe. Thank you all for joining us today on Beyond the Business Plan. It's been a joy and a privilege to share this space with you. For more inspiring stories, tools, and actionable insights, make sure to follow us on your favorite video platform. Visit my website, leannelyon.com, and keep leading with heart. And I'll catch you on the next wave of success.